If we were caterpillars or frogs, we'd be called an army. But then you might want to consider that there are bales of turtles, batches of cookies, and beds of clams. Because we are people, we are not a bale or a batch or a bed, are we? But we could be a bloat or a dale like hippos. Which of these would you choose? It might be better to be flowers, because then we'd be a bouquet. Does that sound better? Maybe you'd prefer to be a caravan like the camels. Then again, if we were badgers, they'd call us a seat. And if we were hyenas, everyone would know us as a clan. Perhaps we could consider being a cloud, like the gnats. Oh, how about this? If we were cats or grapes, everyone would call us clusters. Do you like the ring of that? If we were chicks or eggs, we'd be a clutch. How about it? I know, we could be called a colony if we were willing to be ants or bats or maybe beavers or penguins. If we were alligators or plovers, we'd be a congregation. It doesn't sound too bad. Colonies and congregations sound pretty people-friendly. But what about being a convoy, like trucks? Or a
Corps, like giraffes.
We could be a crash of rhinos, a deck of cards, or a drove of donkeys. How do those sound? Well, let's consider that if we were airplanes or ships, we'd be a fleet. Would you rather be a fleet or a flock? Like chickens and sheep. I think perhaps I like the sound of being a gaggle of geese or a galaxy of stars. Does either of those strike your fancy? Now, if you don't like the sound of gaggle or galaxy, you could consider that antelopes and cows, llamas and zebras live in groups called herds. But don't think for a minute that that's all there is to know, because there's much more to come. For instance, if we were bees, we'd be known as a hive or a swarm, or we could be a host of sparrows, or a knot of toads. What do you think of that? Did you ever hear of such a thing? Now you know we're not hosts or knots or swarms because we're people. But what about if we were leopards? Well, then they'd say, there's a leap of leopards. We could be a litter of puppies or kittens. If we were mice, we'd be called a nest. Does that sound inviting? Perhaps we could be an orchard of trees, a pack of wolves, or a parliament of owls. But I suppose we all know that we are not part of a nest or a pack, nor are we growing in orchards, nor are most of us members of a parliament. So we could be a passel or sounder of pigs. I don't know about you, but that is not what I've always dreamed of. How about being a pod of peas? Or dolphins? Or whales? Or a pride of lions? Or peacocks? We do not live in pods or prides, do we? Because we are people. But if we were turkeys, they'd call us a rafter. We could go up way high and be a range of mountains. Or go down way deep and be a school of fish. That's silly. We can't do that, can we? Now then, if we were bears, we'd be called a sleuth. But we might better like to be a stand of flamingos, or a string of horses. Why not a trip of goats? Well, because we're not goats, of course. And because we're not goats or horses or flamingos, therefore we are not members of trips, strings, or stands, are we? But what about being a wad of bills? Or a tribe of monkeys? That sounds sort of funny, doesn't it? How about being a troop, like the apes or kangaroos? You know, if we were arrows, we'd be part of a quiver. The Bible talks about that in Psalm 127, verses 4 to 5, where it says, "As arrows in the hand of a mighty man, so are children of the youth. Happy is the man that hath his quiver full of them. They shall not be ashamed, but they shall speak with the enemies in the gate." These verses mean that you have powerful and far-reaching potential. Wow. Do you know what? We have learned a lot of interesting names for collective groups of a lot of interesting animals, and also of some things such as trees and flowers, and mountains, plains, dollar bills, and cookies, just to name a few. But I am so glad that we are not known as batches of people or stands of people, and I'm pleased that we're not called fleets of people or trips of people. I'm also thankful that we're not called packs of people or knots of people, and I'm truly glad that we're not part of a herd or members of a crash. You know, there are so many interesting different names for groups, like decks of cards and convoys of trucks, gaggles of geese and clusters of cats. But there is one group name that we have not talked about yet. That one word that we haven't mentioned yet is a very, very special word. There are times of stress and worry associated with this word, and also times of sadness and frustration. There are even times of misunderstanding and discontentment. But there is also forgiveness and faithfulness, teamwork and tenderness, smiles and encouragement, and above all these things, a deep, deep affection and fondness for the members of a family. Here's to the family. Long live the family, and may we all enter eternity together. This video was created for my awesome siblings as part of your homeschooling adventure. It is my prayer that enough windows are opened to you in your school days to give you a clear vision of all the opportunity waiting ahead for you in life. I love every one of you guys and girls.